Hi.
Hi, everybody. Have you had a good second day? Yeah, it's been really fun. So I'm super excited to be sitting in conversation with Vincent. We had the good fortune of meeting at AdColor by happen chance, right? I mean, we were already planning on doing this session together, but we were both at AdColor and we got to really chat, so it's fun. I feel like it's very comfortable for me to be revisiting this conversation. Anyway, Vincent has done something really fascinating, which is he started a company called ConCreates, which looks for creative inspiration and problem solving in the inmate population. Do you want to say a couple words about who's involved and how it got started?
Sure. It's a lot of people out here. Yeah, so thank you for showing support. I actually went to prison. I was sentenced to 121 months in federal prison for conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute 50 kilograms of cocaine. And during that time, I went to prison, I studied law, corporate law, real estate law, read a bunch of books, and happened to be locked up with a founder of a startup. And and so, one of my guys specifically gave this man some ideas that made national news. And I thought, all this creativity?
Literally locked up.
Literally locked up, right? So I built an agency. I found other people that thought like us, other creatives from every social demographic you could possibly imagine. And now I'm here.
Yeah. Now you're here at the 3% conference.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to share a personal story about why I care about this, and I hope this slide comes up. This is a picture of me 3 years ago. I participated in something called Defy Ventures, which Vincent is attached with, but I spent a whole day in a California prison. I remember we left very early in the morning on a bus, and we went down to Fresno, and I didn't get home till about 10 o'clock at night, so it was a real investment of time, and it was fascinating. So the men you see in this photo with me are inmates that have participated in something which is an entrepreneurial program. Because one of the things we were talking about is that people don't understand that when you're released from prison and you've done your time, you have to always disclose that, and it makes it super hard to find employment. So getting people ready for an entrepreneurial, it puts them in the business seat of owning their own business to sidestep that. And so what my role on this day I spent it was almost like a Shark Tank, where a whole bunch of business leaders went down, and we listened to these men practicing their pitch for their businesses and gave them feedback about how to make it more compelling. And there was actually a competition where one man won for the most compelling business idea. But it was deeper than that. Obviously, we were there all day. We participated in some amazing exercises of empathy, where we spoke about our own life experiences, their own life experiences, shame we carried, ways we were similar, which there were a lot of them. And I remember getting home the next night, sitting at my dinner table, and I remember one of my sons saying, "Were you afraid, to be in a prison?" And I said, "I don't think I've ever felt more safe in my life than that day I spent at that prison with those men." There was so much, there was just a real connection between why we were all there and in support of one another. And anyway, so I'm really excited about what you're doing, having experienced this. And I don't know, I'd love it if you could share a story to kind of personalize some of the people that you work with. What are their circumstances, and what is connecting with this doing for them and changing the course of their future?
Absolutely. So one of my guys successfully robbed 27 banks. And I mean, obviously 28 wasn't successful, but but he successfully robbed 27 banks. And I didn't look at him as a bank robber. To me, I thought, you're a strategist, right? Someone who created a plan and successfully executed it 27 times, to me is impressive no matter what industry we're talking about. So how do we like harness that, natural, ability to strategize, to plan, logistics, all those things into something that's not gonna get you put in prison, right? How do we harness that energy in creativity? And so, I'm pretty, he's probably watching this live stream, so hi, Joe.
And so how has his life changed by you telling him or helping him see that skill being applied in a marketing way?
Well, he's actually a co-founder in ConCreates. He just came home from prison in July, and he's in all the rooms. He's helping to strategize with different brands, and they actually value his opinion. His work ethic is impeccable. I mean, I think he has purpose, right? He has purpose. He found his passion and his purpose in providing, his energy into something like that's actually the betterment of individuals who don't necessarily have access to opportunities like of this magnitude.
Yeah. And I mean, it reminds me a little bit about what Mary Beth Bruggeman said earlier, the veteran, about people need to have a reason to get up in the morning and to feel they're useful. And so, I mean, we're social mammals. We need that sense of purpose. And so it's kudos to you for creating something that taps into that and that helps our industry. We certainly can use all the good ideas from unlikely sources that we can find. I'd love to share, can we run a video? There's a little video you sent me that I thought was really compelling about just kind of their sizzle reel for what ConCreates is about. So let's take a look.
Take a look at the work.
Everyone wants that earth-shattering, culture-driving, mind-blowing creativity. Only problem is, they're looking for it in all the same old places. See, that big creativity, it happens under pressure, when it's walled in, forced into a box, life or death. We're not talking the kind of creativity that gets you an A in art school. We're talking the kind it takes to rob a bank with 24/7 security and 2 days to plan. The kind that can launder a drug empire's money across 3 different countries. The kind that looks at a guarded national monument and sees a canvas. The kind of creativity that takes serious skill. The same kind that now sits in a cell 23 hours a day, just waiting to be put to better use. That's why we founded ConCreates, an agency that sources ideas from diverse creatives with criminal backgrounds. You get groundbreaking work, our ConCreators get the second chance they deserve. Everyone wants outside-the-box ideas, but real creativity, it comes from the people who know that box really, really well. ConCreates, radical ideas from radical thinkers.
They like you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it said it all. I mean, I don't know if you guys could hear it. I feel like the volume wasn't good for me up here, but essentially, like, we just work with individuals that have this crazy ability to think outside of the box. And we like to think of people with criminal history as, I guess, bad people. And sometimes, like, maybe they just did a bad thing. And, I founded this company on a belief system that creativity without, opportunity is what leads to criminality. And with that being said, like, how do we give these individuals an opportunity? And plus, I feel like in the creative world, like, no one really cares about your background. It's just like, can you do the work, right? Can you, do the thing that I'm hiring you to do?
Right.
And so that's why I think this is valuable. It's like individuals getting out of prison actually have the ability to integrate into society and actually use their mind for the betterment, like, of mankind.
Yeah. You said something a moment ago about the people's bias about prisoners. And one of the things that happened the day I spent in prison that was really meaningful, it was a little bit like the privilege walk, which we did here on the 3% stage a few years ago, but where we all started standing kind of toe-to-toe on the same line, and then it was take one step forward if this, take one step backward if this, and it really underscored how certain people are more at odds of ending up in prison just due to certain circumstantial things. But then also there was a question about take a step backwards if you have ever done something for which you would have been in trouble with the police if you got caught. Right. And you start to think about, like, have I ever driven home from a party when I've had too much to drink? Or that it's a kind of a combination of a lot of factors that make some of us luckier than others. And that was very powerful for me to think about. These aren't bad people. These are people, many of whom were born into circumstances where statistically they were likelier to end up dead or in prison. And then there are also just societal, systemic things that are unfair and unjust that make them more likely to be targeted. So I think it's important to address that. And how often, like when you talk about this company, is that something that you have to overcome for people? Do they admit it? Or is it a subtext?
I think we should actually play the game. I think that's the easiest way to kind of understand like these similarities. But yeah, like people, there's a lot of shame tied up in doing something wrong and going to jail for it or prison for it. And that's what we're about. We're about leading with our faults. You know, we're about, you know, empathy and really, you know, trying to foster reintegration, because when people go to prison and they serve their time, they come home and they're still serving time, whether it's on probation or parole, or just the simple fact that, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know this, but there are 40,000 barriers that someone with a criminal background faces.
40,000?
40,000 barriers, whether that's housing, employment, you know, all of those different things. I believe California has, I think, 1,600 barriers.
Wow.
You know, that men and women face, you know, coming home from prison. So how do we fix that? You know, how do we fix that? And I feel like advertisement, creative is the way.
Nice. Yeah, and you know, you used the word shame a minute ago, and shame is the most immobilizing emotion. If you are stuck in shame, you literally can't help yourself. It's a very, from a psychological standpoint, it's a place of no movement.
Right.
So to get people out of shame and into purpose is an important mobilization.
Right.
Well, I'd love to share, I know you brought a campaign that you produced just for one of your clients. Do you want to set up a little context for what we're going to see?
Yeah, sure. So recently we kind of, you know, did some like announcement, covered in like Ad Week, Ad Age, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of people were really curious to kind of see like what we could actually do.
Yeah.
And, you know, a small company called Rock Nation reached out to us, and they have some artists actually on their roster that are formerly incarcerated.
Okay.
And this particular artist, Casanova, was getting ready to come out with an album, and they kind of wanted us to do some promo stuff. And so we showed up on set, and everybody was formerly incarcerated, from the editors to the colorists to the lighting to, you know, everything. And so we created a 4-part series, which was like the album's called Behind These Scars. And so what we wanted to do was talk about some of his like physical scars and the stories behind it. But then also we did a mock therapy session to talk about some of the mental scars and the emotional scars, you know, that he's kind of been dealing with as a formerly incarcerated person.
Wow.
And so we thought it was a good idea to work with him because, I mean, he's an artist and he's creative, and look what we do as far as creative. So how do we, you know, continue to celebrate men and women like that?
And what was your role in that project?
So creative, we did a little strategy, and mostly production.
Okay.
Production was.
Did you have fun?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great.
And where did you shoot it?
In New York.
Okay, and you live in LA.
I do live in LA, yeah.
Okay, let's take a peek. It's really nice work.
Okay, thank you.
Me personally, like, I embrace it. You know what I'm saying? Just like we doing now. Like, some people don't want to talk about jail. They be like, you know what, I don't even want to think about it, or I don't even want to remember that. Let's talk about something I'm doing now. Me, that's one of my scars.
I don't want to die broke. I don't want to die rich. Shit, I don't want no side bitch. I don't want no fly shit. I don't want to drive shit. I don't want no big crib. I'm just trying to live.
So it's just like a promo,
Yeah.
little teaser for the album before it came out and, you know, made it out into the world. He's, I don't know, like number 8 right now on the charts.
Yeah.
For what he's doing, and you know, it's a good. He's a good kid. He's a good kid. He just, you know, grew up in certain circumstances that put him, you know, in prison, and he's actually come out of prison, and he's using his creativity to now make a living off of, and, you know, take care of his family and provide, and, you know, I think that's an amazing story.
Yeah. And how long have you been out of prison?
I was released March 1st of 2016, so about 3.5 years.
And tell us a little bit about, yeah.
Thank you.
Tell us about your life. I mean, I'm wondering, 2016, 2017, 2018, like, I'm sure in your mind are those buckets of like reassimilation, or what experiences have been hard, or what experiences have been amazing. Like, I remember when I saw you at the hotel the other night when you had just arrived, and we said hi, and you were like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a massage. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. Why didn't, because yeah, you said when I landed, I thought, I'm hungry and I need a massage. And so I lined both up from the airplane, and I said, why didn't I think of that? And you said, because you've never been in prison. Like the freedom, taking advantage of our freedom. Like, tell us a little bit about just you, Vincent.
I do want to touch on that, because I think like in our regular lives, like we move around and we're like answering text messages and phone calls, and we're doing like, in prison, like I'm stuck right here. I have nowhere to be, right? Like, unless I want to be there. And you do a lot of self-care, right? You get a lot of time with yourself for like self-reflection and to think about, even for me, just, I never had the opportunity to plan for my life. I just reacted to life. So, like, I charted my course. I wrote things down. This is what I want to see, you know, when I come out of prison. These are things that I've never done before that I want to do, or, you know, how do I continue like to love myself better? And so yeah, it's the worst flight. I mean, I felt like I had all the crying kids, right? Flew out from LA, and that's all I kept thinking is like, I'm just gonna get a massage. I think I wanna relax. And then I took a bath, right? Like, I took a bath like in my hotel room, like it was all nice. I'm like, yay, bath time. You know? I came to the reception, like the reception, fully present, right? I was like, yes, I have arrived. And I thought,
Meanwhile, all I'm thinking as you're talking is someone needs to put you on an airline account, right?
Right.
That's an interesting insight, right?
right.
Very, very cool. So we just have a couple minutes left, and this community is sitting here. How can we support what you're doing? I mean, obviously you're for hire, and that's absolutely something all of us should be thinking about. But are there larger issues of just kind of understanding and media depictions? Back to that, it's been a touchstone at this conference. What do we need to know? What do we need to do? How can we support what you're doing?
Well, I mean, obviously hiring us, right? I think that's, you know, the thing is like really like employing these individuals to work on these projects to, for one, just bring dope work to our industry, right? Like, these guys have no traditional training, right? They have nothing but time on their hands to think, so how can we start to become a reflection of the kind of campaigns and you know, advertisement that we see in the world, when these individuals were your consumer before they went to prison,
true. Yeah.
right? They were your consumer probably while they're in prison.
Yep.
And they're definitely going to consume your products when they come out of prison. So why wouldn't we want their voice, you know, in the advertisement or in the work that we see?
Yeah. And how do you enable them, or are you able to enable them to collaborate with others on the team?
Absolutely.
How does that work?
Currently we have 436 men and women behind bars that actually participate in like the think tank, if you will. So we get briefs, we, you know, snail mail it to all the prisons, you know, that we have think tanks inside of. And then they have an email system that allows them to email friends and family, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, within 24 to 48 hours sometimes of them receiving the brief, we have hundreds, sometimes thousands of ideas, right? And then we have 333 men and women on the outside who participate in the research, the insights, the actual, you know, work, right? Doing the graphics, doing, you know, all the stuff, so.
Interesting. That's so fascinating. I feel like clients in this room are like, wow, like that's a deep bench that we to tap into.
It is.
Very cool. Well, we're gonna put up a slide with Vincent's, how you can get in touch with Vincent and with ConCreates, follow them. And I'm certainly already following and will continue to be a fan.
Thank you.
You have done something meaningful. And you're changing people's lives, and that is amazing. And I'm honored to
You
share time with
changing
you.
lives too, right? 'Cause
Well, no, but-
this is the farthest, the biggest room that I've ever, you know, spoken. And like, this is not what I wanted for my life, right? I just wanted to do the work. But it was so hard, like knocking on doors and saying, hey, can, you know, this $100 billion company hire a bunch of convicts to like, you know, do your stuff, right? And, you know, so it's opportunities like this that I'm truly grateful for, because it gives us a platform to actually continue to change lives.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we will do our part in the 3% community to talk about you and post about you. And I think people in this room will be reaching out and want to work with you. So, all right,
you.
thank you.